Everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. And the statement that you see up over here is provocative, but it's true. 60 years ago, Visa became the first fintech in the industry we are in. What you see over here behind me is Bank Americard. So there's a bit of a story on Bank Americard. This is circa 1958. So this is the first credit card that was rolled out by Bank of America on a Visa brand. At the time, there was no Visa. Bank Americard was basically what became Visa in 1976. But what you see over here, this idea of a credit card was dropped to 60,000 people living in Fresno, California. And what is interesting is that those people didn't ask for a credit card. Bank of America didn't even know that anyone needed a credit card. So this was a big trial, like a lot of you fintechs are trying to do here. A bit ahead of the curve, a bit being called out that, hey, you are dreaming and this is not a real idea, no one is asking for it. We've actually shown that fintechs can survive. After these many years, 60 years, Visa is still around and one of the largest global networks. So what a great success story Visa has had as a fintech back in 1958. And come 60 years here, I'm here talking about this story. This is what Visa is today. We are a global network with more than 16,000 financial institution partnerships. We've got billions of customers. There are 3.5 billion cards out there on Visa rails. We are processing in more than 176 currencies. If you think of Visa as a company, we are one of the top 7 brands in the world. We are upward of 300 billion in market cap. We have a trust of umpteen number of these financial institution, merchant partners out there across the globe, and then partners like yourself. So it's a great fintech story. Fintechs can achieve a success that Visa had. And I'm going to talk about this today on in what ways Visa is changing and in what ways we would like to partner with fintechs. One of the core tenets for Visa has been our vision, right? So we always wanted to be the best way to pay and get paid for everyone and everywhere. So whether we're introducing transit technologies or whether it's an e-commerce technology or whether it's Internet of Things, we're always thinking, are we the most preferred way for customers to pay? In the context of India, it's important to call out that India is a great, amazing growth story, but it's a bigger cash displacement opportunity. And our biggest competition when you become the scale of Visa is not your second competitor. It's the biggest competitor in India, which is cash. So if you look at this pie chart over here, you can see that cards are still less than 10% of an opportunity of personal consumption expenditure. So cash and check is a huge displacement opportunity for us. Against the BRIC countries, you look at it, India is one of the lowest benchmarked on digital payments as a percent of PCE. But on the flip side, we have so much going for us, right? So we have a huge population which is getting into smartphones, getting on internet. So there's a lot of this dynamo positive effect that we have going for us. Question is, how do you tap into it? Another tidbit is, in Mumbai, right here, in this city, if we could achieve more cashlessness as a society, in other words, in Mumbai, if more payment flows starts to happen more digital, how consumer pay, how business pay, how government pays, if that happens more digital, what is interesting is, you will realize, even in a city like Mumbai alone, $2.9 billion of annual gains over and above what the city generates today. It's like 2.9 billion annually in additional gains if more payment flows happen digitally. And then over a 15-year period, it's going to have an impact on a city like Mumbai by generating GDP growth 4.4% above what a 15-year growth would look like. And 1.3% increased employment if more of these flows are digital. So it's not an option, I think it's imperative. That's why we need to be digital. But what is interesting is also that payment as a business has evolved. It's not the same as it was in 1958. It's changed completely over the last few years, specifically since 2000 it has changed a lot. And some of you guys are participating in this. So payments driving revenue, what that means is there are certain businesses, some of you over here, who are completely focused on generating revenues from different payment services, switch operations that you would be offering to your customers. Then there are the likes of the banks and some fintechs over here who are thinking of payment as a stickiness to drive more customer engagement. And then you have the likes of the wallets who are seeing payment as a loss leader. Their monetization opportunity is through advertising and other different types of services, but not payments. And then finally, you have rails like UPI, which becomes more of a commodity at scale for payments. So you see all these different models emerging, and they're coexisting, right? So no one model is better than other. It's just different business models are out there. So one of the first things I want to talk about is how is Visa reinventing its business as these business models evolve. And then I'll talk about what are we doing specifically for fintechs, for you all, and how we would like to partner. So first, we are getting more open, right? So think of Visa as a technology platform. So we call it VisaNet. We have a bunch of services that you can avail, but it was a very centralized, very monolith technology architecture we had. What has changed in last few years, we have opened up our technology infrastructure. So what we've done is all the services that you used to get through VisaNet, we have made consumable APIs that you can take as a partner and avail it to your customers. That could be issuers, that could be an end consumer, that could be a merchant. We have opened up the box of services into consumable APIs. So that's number one, how we've opened up. Number two, how we have opened up is we have opened up the ecosystem. We just don't work with banks. We always used to work with banks, and we still do. But it's not the only player or the merchants we work with. It's also opening up to some new non-traditional players. We are willing to work with anyone and everyone who's driving significant improvement to the cardholder experience and adds more value in the ecosystem. So we've opened up the ecosystem. We have literally, if you look at the last few years of announcements that where Visa has invested and who we have partnered with, we have actually quite, I would say, that's been the significant shift in how Visa has transformed in the last, specifically last 10 years. So there are a few examples, right? So not only we are pushing secure payment credentials onto device, we're also pushing these into the cloud and even beyond. This notion of that payment credential or the cards have to be stored into a device, that's changing, and we have actually led the change. Virtual Visa cards is another example where actually we are providing a chassis for commerce. Visa Direct, one of our products, is an example where today, if you understand payments, a lot of the payments are called pull payments because merchant initiates a transaction for purchase and funds are pulled from consumer's bank account. And that's like 99% of all transactions on card rails today. What we are starting to move is the money the other way. We've said, why not have the customer decide to push the transaction to the merchant? And what we call that is Visa Direct. And then we are finally investing now for a day where credit could be decoupled from the card. So these are just real examples of products and services which we've already launched or preparing to launch, which just shows you how we have transformed as a business. But you guys like, why am I talking about Visa over here? Clearly, this is a fintech conversation, fintech convention. So here's the second step, right? You can't engage fintech who are out there to disrupt if you haven't disrupted yourself. So the last couple of slides that I walked through was how we have disrupted ourselves, and here's how we believe we could work with you to disrupt the ecosystem and really innovate further with you guys. So one, I'll give you examples on how we are opening up the Visa network to collaborate in new ways that we have never done before. How do we engage with you as a community to bring some fresh ideas to life, right? So we don't believe that all the ideas are going to come from Visa. I have a smart team, a brilliant, we're in product, we think of ideas all the time, but not all ideas are going to come from Visa alone, right? So we need these partnerships. We need your brains and your wherewithal to push these ideas and bring these ideas to life. And then how do we work with you to drive more compelling experience? So not only make it good for you, but also make it good for the customers that both of us care about. So here's how people think of fintechs, right? So it's a bunch of crazy projections. Well, you have always a chip on the shoulder that you have these powerful incumbents you have to fight off. You have these prohibitive regulations, right? So that's how most people think of fintechs looking outside, right? The flip side is, as fintechs, you also have this crazy focus on growth. You really have figured out how to empower experiences. And then you actually see some fruits of labor when you see rampant adoption. So this is the other side of the fintech story that often doesn't get talked about, or there are not many success stories to talk about, right? And then there's this notion I want to share with you about the fintech and the big tech, right? So if you look at why this is important is both fintech and big tech, and when I say big tech, these are large monolith technology companies, and most of them are our partners, just like some of you over here are our partners. But most of them, both entities thrive on speed, right? So it's the USP for fintech and big tech. However, fintechs don't have scale. And scale matters, right? If you look at what Amazon was able to do with buying out Whole Foods in US and get into the whole grocery segment, that requires a scale of Amazon to make such a huge acquisition like what they did with Whole Foods. So it's hard to get the scale if you don't have a scale to start off with, right? So that's the challenge with fintechs. And then ability to replace or disrupt traditional financial service providers is hard. It's hard given your scale is limited, impact is limited. It's just hard, right? And then balance often tips up towards the big tech. So this is the reality. So we want to make it much more level playing. What I mean by that is, what you're going to see is, how could we work together that you see benefits of scale and partnerships, credibility with financial institutions that you can get by working with Visa. How do we do that? We become more open, right? So we were open, and now we are talking about becoming more open. What does more open look like, right? So we have these Visa assets. I'm going to talk about 3 programs we have that you're open to participate in, and I'll actively encourage you guys to stop by Visa's booth and talk to us and our teams. The first one is the Visa Developer Platform. So these are the APIs that we have created of all the Visa services. These are consumable APIs that you have ready access to. You can go right now online, register yourself, and access the sandbox environment right now, like while you're on this in the conference. It's that easy. I'm just going to double click on this and show you what it has. So basically you get access to 70+ APIs, and I'll walk you through some of those. Testing sandbox is very easy to deploy. And we also help you walk through this process ourselves. So our teams are here to walk through how you could use those APIs in different use cases. Some of the examples you see over here, these are just a sample of how many APIs are available in India today. From expediting the checkout flows with Visa Checkout APIs or Visa Direct APIs, to using something for risk and fraud, Visa Consumer Transaction Control. Allow your consumer to set transaction limits on a card. It's that easy. Like, we've created APIs. You allow your customer to say, I don't want to spend X amount in a week. It's that easy. We'll manage the back-end plumbing with the issuers. It's super magical. A lot of our issuers and non-issuers are using it worldwide, and even in India. Same thing with data and analytics. Forex rates, you don't want to go through extra calculator and all that. Just embed this API. Tell customer how it would cost them if they're making a purchase in a foreign currency. These are real APIs, guys. So just want to make sure you understand that these are APIs that you can play around right now. But then the second piece of this idea is that how do you work with us? One of the things Visa brings is scale and what I would call is credibility. Fintechs have amazing ideas, but when you go to one of the large financial institution, often you are just one of many fintechs they're talking about. So what we've done is, we've created this program called Visa Ready Program. It's basically a standardized partnership, kind of certified partnership, so to speak, where you will be able to build solution that we certify, and you'll carry the seal of Visa Ready Partner, and we will give you referrals to all our 16,000 financial institutions and partnerships, not only in India, but globally, to be able to help you grow your business and help our clients through whatever problem you are trying to solve for. So what does it look like? We develop the standards, we'll certify your solution, we'll pilot it with you. You are, as a technology partner, deploying those standards or solutions and certifying for Visa Ready status that then we take to our issuers, the merchants, to deploy these solutions at scale. So what does it do? All of a sudden, it's changed from you going directly talking to those 16,000 financial institutions. You partner with us and you get access to all of the Visa's network. That's a huge promise, guys. And it goes without saying like how difficult it is to crack some of these opportunities. And through this program, we're trying to make sure that you can efficiently scale these partnerships with a bunch of these APIs as well as the partnership arrangement. So some of these benefits I talked about, right? So you have, all of a sudden, you are able to distinguish your brand. There are a lot of fintechs out here right now. Like there's so many fintechs. Hard to kind of focus on how do you remove the focus on right through the clutter on some few fintechs that large techs are really interested in or large banks are interested in. This gives you that recognition with issuers, gives you credibility because you're Visa ready. These certifications matter in the market. These are hard to get, but they're very important once you get it. They allow you to stay up to date on standards. You don't have to kind of learn up and do and deploy those standards. We'll help you. If you're Visa ready, we will help you deploy the standards. It's a joint development model. We'll certify solutions with you. And then it's a strategic partnership. You get a seal of saying you're a strategic partner with Visa. But here's the kicker, right? So this is a FinTech Fast-Track. We're announcing it in India right here. And I really want you to go to a session we're going to have in Collaborate at 2 o'clock to learn more about this. But what this is, as organization becomes big, we have our own processes. We get through the whole things of slowing down ourselves. That often happens. Any big organization goes through that. What we've realized is if we want to work with fintechs, we have to be nimble and fast. So this is our attempt at doing that. What we've done is we have done away with all the processes that would slow us down working with you. We've simplified the onboarding for fintechs. We have standardized as much as processes we could do. And we have given incentives. We are waiving off Visa-specific fees to give you incentive to get on and use our products soon and early. So there's a lot of incentive out there to go with. So I definitely want you to learn about this from Sachin when he's going to present and Collaborate at 2 o'clock. But what I'm going to leave you with is 3 things. One, the speed at which you work with Visa will increase. Like we are making sure that the processes are not the bottlenecks to work with you. The scale at which you can achieve your solutions will increase because you're working with Visa, and our commitment is that if you're coming through this program, we will introduce and give you referrals to all our client bases, right? So we will help you grow your business. And third is the cost aspect. There are certain incentives that we will provide, and you'll see the teams talk more through that. But that's our commitment to fintechs and making sure that you're taking advantage of this opportunity. And this is specifically interested one for a lot of the PPI issuers out here, who PPI license holders. As you know, RBI just released a guideline in November where you can be a direct member with Visa, associate or principal membership, right? So it's a great opportunity to work directly with Visa, have the same level of access that a large financial institution would have. So it's a great opportunity that the regulation is favoring some of the small fintechs to directly work with an entity like Visa and get the same level playing field that a large issuer could get. So you can issue your own Visa cards. That's in nutshell what you could basically do with this FinTech Fast-Track Program. So in summary, I know I'm up against time, so I just want to go through that. All we're saying, just simply think about these 4 things, right? We are giving you access to all of the Visa capabilities through very consumable APIs that, again, you can go and check at the Visa booth, register yourself on Visa Developer Platform, start looking at those APIs, ask the team what use cases they would be good for. And then, as I've mentioned a couple of times, we'll give you access to our Visa network of partnerships. We have 16 to 17,000 financial institution partners, merchant partners globally. So it's just not about India. Some of you are probably thinking of expanding beyond India. Regular check-ins. So we have a team which is dedicated to make sure that as fintechs, you are not feeling left out once you apply through the process and you see, well, this guy presented here and then he's gone and this process still takes long. Our commitment is not going to happen that way. Our teams here is making sure that we'll handhold you through the process. And then finally, co-creation sessions will help you co-create new experiences with the APIs we are enabling for all of you. So with that, I invite you to FinTech Fast-Track Program. I urge you again, check us out on the Visa booth as well as the collaborate session that Sachin is going to hold. And thank you so much. Thanks for giving us an opportunity.